Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the peak-to-peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists. Hello, I'm Dango Rose, and this is the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening.
And I'm Cynthia Davis. In this week's episode, we speak with Tom Mahowald of the Nederland Food Pantry. Tom is going to speak to us about some of the challenges that the nonprofit organization faces and what the pantry needs most to offer continued support for the local community.
We hear this week's music mentions from Jamie Lammers, and special correspondent Maryann Rosen will share an intriguing tale about the history of Rollinsville.
And for our final story, Jaime Lammers interviews Magoo, the jazzy jamgrass jam band from Nederland. They speak about upcoming shows, recent recordings, and how the band came to be.
But first, some news from your neighborhood.
Folks at the Nederland Farmers Market will be wrapping up the season this Sunday, October 1st, with Harvest Fest. Attractions include a pumpkin patch, yak rides, and chili roasting. Craft beer, wine, and spirits will also be available, along with live music throughout the day. For more information, be sure and visit NederlandFarmersMarket.org.
Do you have a spooky story that you want to share? Have you encountered ghosts of gold diggers past, a Bigfoot, or maybe a Tommyknocker? Well, we want to hear all about it. In October, the Everybody's Listening podcast will feature a string of spooky stories by special correspondent Maryann Rosen. If you have one of your own that you'd like to share, go to themountaineer.com and look for the spooky prompt.
Residents from throughout the peak-to-peak region are invited to join a fun event for all ages as we rise against hunger. Volunteers will meet at Teens Inc. in Nederland on Thursday, September 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. to package 10,000 meals.
The meals will be provided to the international organization Rise Against Hunger, which will distribute them internationally to alleviate hunger. All ages are invited to participate, as there will be a place for anyone that wants to help. Rise Against Hunger is an international organization that has been supporting global efforts to end world hunger since 1998. The organization has packaged more than 17 million meals through volunteer efforts.
Nederland Community Presbyterian Church is organizing the event for the 8th year, and to help fund the project, the church will sell fresh evergreen Christmas wreaths for $32 each from September 28th to October 28th, with delivery beginning November 15th. To register yourself as a team or to become a sponsor, please contact Paula Gipp via email at gipp.paula, Paula, at gmail.com or call 303-328-5863. There is no fee to participate. Snacks will be provided to participants at the event.
A coalition of environmental organizations has refiled a legal complaint against the Army Corps of Engineers regarding the expansion of Gross Reservoir. This complaint comes after a previous dismissal by a federal judge in 2021. Although no official date has been announced, a court hearing is expected to proceed sometime next year. To read the full story written by journalist Wes Eisenhardt, pick up a copy of this week's Mountaineer newspaper or go online to themountaineer.com and search Gross Reservoir.
Read more local news and feature stories in print and online at themountaineer.com.
And that's it for this week's news briefs. If you have something to share, you can send requests for submission to info@themountaineer.com. As long as it meets our community standards, we'll be sure to include it in a future episode. Brightwood Music has been serving the Peak to Peak region and beyond since opening in 2008. The full-service music store offers new and used instruments and will even repair the ones you've got. Go ahead and check them out on Facebook at Brightwood Music. Brightwood Music is the best music store with altitude across the Peak to Peak. And for our lead story, Cynthia interviews Tom Mahowald, treasurer of Nederland Food Pantry and mayor pro tem of Nederland. He talks about the challenges that the nonprofit organization currently faces and what the pantry needs most to offer continued vital support for the local community.
Hi, Tom. So can you start by introducing yourself to our listeners?
You bet. My name is Tom Mahowald. I'm treasurer with Nederland Food Pantry and on the board. I'm also a mayor pro tem for the town of Nederland.
So, Tom, we recently read the food pantry is in need of more community support. Can you talk a little bit about that?
First of all, the number of people we serve is going up even before they come into the holidays. It's especially sharply up in the last 60 days over even the height of COVID. So we're serving people like we haven't before.
So what do you think has contributed to this increase of people needing help?
There's a couple things. Homelessness is a big one. We have, in Nederland, we're surrounded by national forests. The national forest is full of people who are living out there who come to the food pantry for food. This is not the majority, but a substantial number. Housing is extremely tight here, and so we're serving an east-west constituency because we're in Boulder County and we cover the canyon and Boulder. Some even come up from Boulder. We also serve north-south along the peak-to-peak region that crosses. It covers three counties: Boulder, Gilpin, and Larimer.
Tell us more about the housing issue in Nederland and how it plays a part when people do need that extra support.
Something on housing. We just finished the housing study up here. We thought the results were pretty startling. Number one, it appears that we're short about 100 housing units. Number two, the median price this summer when they took the snapshot was $860,000. And to do that requires a household income of $220,000, which is really two people that have to be working. You lose one of those people, or they have a variable rate mortgage, and they find themselves in a pinch pretty quick.
And what sort of things or items are most needed right now at the pantry?
A couple of things. Number one, we're not just food. We do lots of other things. So start to collect things that could be gifts and or festive food and hold on to them as we come into the season because we're going to need them. And then that includes gifts for the kids and even something as simple, some simple things for adults, but also number two, some of the festive foods that we like to have through the holidays. And, it's everything from fruitcake on hams, things like that, because we could use all we can get. We're in pretty good shape funding wise for the level that we're serving now. But I'm looking at, we heat map who we serve community by community, and we do it by month. And what I'm seeing is that heat map is filling up at a fairly alarming rate. And so we have to be ready for that. And then I think also we'll be launching a capital campaign at some point soon to help us with our new home. We need to vacate where we're at in the community center shortly for safety reasons.
And y'all are always looking for warm winter clothes.
You have to have warm clothes. Yeah, that's non-negotiable. My son has always said there's no such thing as bad weather, just the substandard clothing.
Tom, is there anything you want to tell people about the Nederland Food Pantry and ways you'd like to see the organization grow?
We're looking at closely right now at our mission. Obviously, core is feeding people and clothing people. But we're seeing a problem up here, especially with addiction issues that's going to require some harm reduction support. We've taken this on anecdotally. we need to decide as an organization how much further we want to go into that, because it is truthfully a bit of mission creep. But we're also looking generally at any way that we can serve the clientele, the type of clientele that we're serving right now. It's across a fairly wide spectrum who have other needs. We're super lucky to, in the last year and a half, to now have both healthcare, physical healthcare, and mental health care. It took years to get that in. Some of us that are on the food pantry board have also worked on that, but we're looking to make sure that we can be a single point of contact for somebody that needs us when they need us. One thing to keep in mind is even before the recession or the COVID recession hit, 1 in 6 Americans needs assistance at some point in a given year, probably more so here in the mountains, and more so now as we teeter on the edge of economic slowdown.
And what is the best way for people to find out more about how to donate or volunteer?
You can call me at 303-517-5077. Text will work too. I look forward to hearing from anybody who can help. And where I'm not necessarily the end person, I'm certainly pretty good at coordinating and getting people to where they need to be.
Thank you, Tom. We hope the pantry will see both an increase in donations and volunteers. And we will be checking back in to see how everything is going before the holidays.
I will stand for the heart of this land. Now sovereignty, I'd give my life for thee. An army of red hangs a tall around my head. Now marching on Kiev, we'll fight for the living, we'll fight for the dead. I used to bake bread, now it's homemade grenades and lead. We fought to be free, now we fight for our lives by the waves of the sea.
Now we go to correspondent Jamie Lammers, who will be delivering this week's Music Mentions.
And now for this week's Music Mentions. Head to Busey Brews, located at 70 East 1st Street in Nederland on Sunday, October 1st at 2 p.m. to see the Ashley Priest Trio performing live. Head to the Canyon Tavern, located at 32138 Highway 72 in Coal Creek Canyon on Friday, September 29th at 7 p.m. to see Will Whelan performing live, and on Saturday, September 30th at 7 p.m. to see Derek Hall performing live. Head to the Gold Dirt Distillery, located at 60 Main Street in Rollinsville on Wednesday, September 27th at 6:30 p.m. for an open mic night. Head to the Gold Hill Inn, located at 401 Main Street in Gold Hill on Friday, September 29th at 8 p.m. to see the Blue Canyon Boys performing live, and on Saturday, September 30th at 7 p.m. to see Silent Bear performing live. Head to Howland Wind Brewing, located at 51A Main Street in Rollinsville on Saturday, September 30th at 4 p.m. to see Magoo performing live. Head to JKQ Barbecue, located at 200 Gregory Street in Blackhawk on Friday, September 29th at 6 p.m. and on Saturday, September 30th at 5 p.m. to see Boys of the Town performing live. Head to Knotted Root Brewing, located at 250 North Caribou Street in Nederland on Friday, September 29th at 6 p.m. to see Tober Shore and the Sound Ideal performing live, and on Saturday, September 30th at 5 p.m. to see Smooth Money Gesture performing live. Most Sundays at 4 p.m., the Millside Inn hosts an open jam. Be sure to head there at 44365 Highway 72 in Ward to check them out for yourself. Head to Train Cars Coffee and Kava, located at 101 Peaks Peak Highway in Nederland on Friday, September 29th at 5 p.m. for Dub Days with DJ Laser, and on Saturday, September 30th at 9 p.m. for Bulis and Beats Electronic Music Party featuring Jelly, Amanita, Worm, Jared, and Glippish. And finally, head to Very Nice Brewing Company, located at 20 East Lakeview Drive, number 112 in Nederland on Friday, September 29th at 6 p.m. to see Fortel performing live, and on Saturday, September 30th at 5 p.m. to see Strange Birds performing live. Did we miss you or your performances? Want to submit your music listing in the Peach area? Do you have updates to your business or to your performances? Please call 303-810-5409 or email info@themountaineer.com to be included in the next print edition or the next podcast of The Mountain Ear.
Thank you, Jamie. Now let's drop in with special correspondent Maryann Rosen, who shares an intriguing tale about the history of Rollinsville.
Rollinsville is a town who has seen its share of ups and downs over the course of its history. Located in Gilpin County between Nederland and Blackhawk, its history is also connected to the railroads and mining. As early as 1862, there was a basic trail over a mountain pass above Rollinsville, which would become Rollins Pass. Rollinsville was an early transportation hub on the Rollins Pass Trail. Due to its location at one end of Colorado's most important supply routes, Rollinsville prospered in its early days. The town and pass were named after John Quincy Adams Rollins. His first appearance in Colorado history seems to be when he was 44 years old. Born in New Hampshire, he came to Colorado and became a rancher. He also dabbled in mines and mills, roads, stage lines, and lumber. Rollins's early investments included a gold dirt mine on South Boulder Creek and a quartz mill. Although the pass above Rollinsville was at 11,767 feet of elevation, Rollins and other backers felt that the pass was worth adding a stagecoach stop to, and they were granted permission to build one and operate a wagon trail. The stage stop became a reality in 1868. A newspaper article in 1869 mentions that a stamp mill for gold already existed in the town. In 1871, the town established a post office, which is still in operation to this date. The stage stop was so successful, as the town was handy for miners needing supplies, that an upgrade to a toll road was merited. Built by John Q.A. Rollins, the toll road was finished and opened in 1873. As the town prospered, it was also known as the cleanest mining town in Colorado. And no, not because it was pristine, but because John Q.A. Rollins strictly forbade brothels, dance halls, gambling houses, and saloons that were so common in other mining towns. A year after the Rollins Pass toll road opened, a new toll road over Berthoud Pass opened. At the time, Berthoud was a superior road. It was a little lower in elevation, was easier to negotiate, and had more access to mines. People tired of paying tolls on the less kept-up Rollins Pass, and it lost much of the traffic that had been responsible for Rollinsville's early prosperity. The town's population dwindled. In 1880, however, Rollins Pass was upgraded to a railroad route. Rollinsville was not situated directly next to mines, but it was central to many of them, including a tungsten belt, which would boom around World War I. The town of Rollinsville became a location where ores were milled and where mining companies established offices. In the first decade of the 1900s, mining lessened and the town faded significantly. It was railroad traffic that kept Rollinsville from becoming a ghost town until the tungsten boom in 1916. A newspaper article around that time wrote about how Rollinsville had fallen into disrepair, but that with the tungsten windfall, the economy revived. Lots that previously could not be sold were now selling for as high as $2,000. Unsellable buildings were being purchased for $3,000, and stores were moving in. Another boost to the economy was also on the way. The railroad route over Rollins Pass was an extremely difficult and winding one at an especially high altitude. Enter David Moffett, who financed the building of a tunnel named for him. It was finished in 1928. The 6-mile-long tunnel eliminated the need for trains to travel the treacherous Rollins Pass. The creation of Moffat Tunnel stimulated the economy of Rollinsville even more. It secured the future of the town and the rail lines for many decades. Economic downturns, however, occurred again in the mid to late 20th century when mining had trickled away. Although Gilpin County had some of the last gold mines in Colorado, they and the tungsten mines eventually closed. In due course, at that time, the railroad, including the Moffat Tunnel, also fell out of use. Rollinsville faded once again. As for the area today, well, Rollins Pass is used for hiking and exploring and as a road for four-wheel drive vehicles. It was added in 1980 to the National Register of Historic Places. The Moffat Tunnel is in use and continues to serve as a coal and freight route, averaging around 15 trains a day. The route also serves Amtrak's California Zephyr train. The town of Rollinsville itself, one of Colorado's oldest active communities, is home to around 200 people. The town, a small cluster of residences and businesses, is nestled below Rollins Pass with South Boulder Creek flowing south of town. The original post office is still in operation, and the old stage stop is now a tavern and restaurant. Rollinsville has had its ups and downs, but remains a very small but vibrant community that has survived for 160 years.
Storytellers, fable makers, and ghost town enthusiasts. We ask you now to share your stories of encounters with the supernatural kind. Do you have a spooky story you want to share? Have you encountered ghosts of gold diggers past, a Bigfoot, or maybe a Tommy Knocker? Well, we want to hear all about it. Go to www.themountaineer.com and follow the prompt, October Listener Tales, and share your supernatural story today.
My family fled to the borders in the west. Now ancestors grieve. Guns given to a mother of three. A gilded hat, vows to keep us in the past. Now the blood of Ukraine will never drain, never drop, never spill in vain. I used to bake bread. Now it's homemade grenades and lead. We fought to be free. Now we fight for our lives by the waves of the sea.
Now, listen in as Jamie Lammers interviews Magoo about future plans and moving mountains to make more music.
Hello, my name is Jamie Lammers, and today I'm here with three very special musical guests, Eric Hill, Paul Flynn, and Dylan Flynn. Do you guys mind introducing yourselves real quick?
I'm Eric. I play guitar, grew up in upstate New York, been out in Denver for almost 6 years now.
I'm Dylan. I play dobro. I'm from Massachusetts originally, and I moved to Denver about 2 years ago now.
I'm Paul. I'm the bass player. I've been living out in Nantucket Island for 22 years, building houses and playing music as a hobby out there. And then just retired last year and moved to Denver and formed this band, these guys.
And that's us. That's Magoo.
And I hear you guys are playing at Howlin' Wind very soon.
Yes, we are playing there on the last day of the month, the 30th of September, from 4 to 7. We'll play 2 sets, a bunch of original music, some covers, some improv. Should be a great time.
So how did the band begin?
This is Dylan now talking. Just before I moved out to Denver, I made a post on Reddit basically asking if there are any pickers in the Denver area who wanted to get together and play. And a friend of ours named Tyler responded, and Tyler was friends with Eric already. So he brought Eric to our house and played some songs with us one night. The bass player in our band, Paul, who just introduced himself, is actually my uncle. So I was living with Paul, and Tyler and Eric came over, and we played some songs one night, and we formed a group, and we played with that group for about a year maybe, and then decided to form another group with Eric here on the guitar, because Eric was playing mandolin in the other group. And while Eric is a great mandolin player, his primary instrument is the guitar. So we wanted to form a group with him on his primary instrument where he could shine. And now here we are, about 10 months into Magoo now, and we're loving it.
And what are some of your guys' musical backgrounds?
For me, my parents played classic rock growing up. Cream, Hendrix, Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all that good stuff that everyone knows and loves. And listening to that, I immediately wanted to play the guitar. And I was lucky and very thankful to have had the opportunity to get a guitar at a young age and take lessons. So I was really into blues and classic rock and stuff like that. And then my guitar teacher, as I got older, like in high school, he started showing me gypsy jazz like Django Reinhardt. I got into Fish and jam bands and Grateful Dead in high school, so I'd have him teach me some of that stuff. And then in college, I was in a jam band and was full-fledged jam band like Fish, Dead, all those guys. And it wasn't until really I moved out to Colorado that I got into bluegrass. Like I was familiar with it. I knew about Rice and bluegrass that like the Deaths would play, but it was different because they had drums. And then when I got to Colorado, I saw Jeff Austin Band. A friend took me there, and that was my first bluegrass show, like my first real introduction. And I was blown away because it had like all the elements of the music that I love, like fast playing, shredding, improv, beautiful lyrics and harmonies and all that stuff. So all those classic rock and jam bands kind of brought me to bluegrass.
I'm an old Grateful Dead head, basically. Used to go to Grateful Dead shows. Me and my buddies back in the 1980s. We went to every show within a 400-mile radius of us for about 10 years. And then after Jerry died, we discovered Winterhawk Bluegrass Festival because Brisbane was playing there. And so we went to that and basically fell in love with bluegrass festivals at that point, right after Jerry died, and started bringing instruments to festivals and learned how to play at that point, really. And I didn't really pick up the bass until about 10 years later, and now I've been playing the bass for about 20 years, and it's been great. Played music out on Nantucket Island with a band called the Four Easy Payments. We played at the Cisco Brewery for twice a week for year-round. We had a year-round gig there twice a week for many years, playing out there, and that's where I really learned how to play out and front of people and things like that, and that's about it.
And then for me, Dylan, I grew up, that being my uncle saying he was the deadhead, I kind of was growing up in that environment. But I mean, Jerry died when I was 3 years old, but you know, I like to say I did see Jerry. I went to a Dead show when I was 2 years old, and Jerry was still alive at that time. But basically my parents and Paul here, they all started going to bluegrass festivals, so they took me with them and stuck a guitar in my hands and put me in the Festival Kids Academy to learn how to play, and just progressively have grown to love bluegrass more and more with each passing year since then. And that's all for me.
So you guys are a bluegrass band, I take it?
Oh, yeah, yep. We're 100% bluegrass, but we like to call it bluegrass with lasers.
Laser beams.
Because there's some elements of improvisation and effects pedals that make it a little psychedelic and trippy and all that stuff. But we do also honor the traditional side of bluegrass, fiddle tunes and the trad style that Bill Monroe kind of forged.
We're kind of a jam band, do you think, Phil?
Yeah, jam.
Kind of a bluegrass, progressive jam band at some point.
Yeah.
Of our we play.
Definitely jamgrass, but bluegrass at the core. So.
Yeah, the root is bluegrass.
What do you love about being able to play bluegrass live?
It's fun music because it gives people clapping their hands or stomping their feet. It's really easy for people to jump up and down to bluegrass when it's upbeat and up-tempo. It's great music to kind of throw a party to and have people dance to. And kids love bluegrass. Any kid at a show will start jumping up and down and spinning in circles. That energy that we can create and hopefully receive back from the audience definitely creates a lot of joy.
Not just playing bluegrass, but just playing music in general. I had a conversation with someone at a festival last week who brought this up, and it resonated with me. And I think all three members of this group are on board with this, where you have to be addicted to climbing in order to enjoy being a musician and achieve the things that we want to achieve, because you're never going to get to some summit or some finish line at the end. It's just climbing for your whole life. You're just climbing and climbing and climbing. So if you don't like climbing, then you never going to like music. And I think all three of us are addicted to climbing, and we're just excited to play as many hours as we can for as many years as we can and see how good we can possibly get. But we all understand that we're never going to get there. Wherever there is no finish line, no summit.
It's just fun to play.
Definitely fun to play.
And what do you hope that audience members will be able to take away from your shows when they come and see you?
Hopefully they'll buy a t-shirt.
Yeah, we'll take away a t-shirt. Take away your merch.
If they remember us and tell their friends or their family, hey, I saw this band, it was really fun, that would be great for me.
Yeah.
Dylan says this, you want to be undeniably good, where even if someone's there who they didn't necessarily come for your band or they don't know about bluegrass, if they see us play, they can't help but turn their head and be like, that's great music. We're trying to get to that point and think we're on our way. That's my perspective.
We're climbing. We're addicted to climbing.
Is there anything else in general that you guys would like to add about upcoming releases or anything else?
We released our debut single about 2 weeks ago, maybe a little longer, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we're planning on releasing our second single, a song called The Road. And we're planning on releasing that in early October. And our debut single, which I just said we released, is called Colorado Rocks. We would love for people to go check it out on Spotify or wherever you listen
Apple
to
Music, all the venues.
Yep, it's on all streaming services. There's Magoo, Magoo. Search for that, and Colorado Rocks ought to pop up. And then in a few weeks, they'll be able to find The Road as well. We have our social media presence, Magoo the Band, on Facebook and Instagram. So people can check us out there, stay in the loop. And
we post up any upcoming shows there, any releases there.
Shows and pictures, and sometimes just clips of us playing.
We're big fans of Billy Strings. That type of band is kind of like powerful.
Yeah, can't deny his influence on the bluegrass scene. Jamgrass, he's a star.
Thank you so much to Eric, Dylan, and Paul for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. If you want to see Magoo performing live, be sure to check them out at Howlin' Wind Brewing, located at 51A Main Street in Rollinsville, on Saturday, September 30th, 2023 at 4 p.m. And be sure to stream their debut single, Colorado Rocks, wherever you stream your music.
Who will defend? And where will this end? Now a tyrant king, the same regime. The rockets launch, the missiles sing. We will stand by the heart of this land. Now watching on Kyiv, we'll fight for our lives, we'll fight to be free. I used to bake bread. Now it's homemade grenades and lead. We fought to be free. Now fight for our lives by the waves of the sea. I used to bake bread. Now it's homemade grenades and lead. We fought to be free. Now we fight for our lives by the waves of the sea. I would give my life for thee.
That concludes this week's episode of the Mountain Air Podcast, where everybody's listening.
Visit our website at www.themountaineer.com to read more information about today's guests. Pick up a copy of this week's print edition of The Mountaineer at newsstands all across the Peak to Peak. I'm Dango Rose.
And I'm Cynthia Davis. Thank you for listening.
You name it, we got it.
You know, up here in the mountains, things are weird.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.